MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN. We have a very special guest with us here today. In fact, he is considered to be a living legend in the boxing community. This gentleman has called over 60 pay-per-view boxing events, and for over 30 years, he has been one of the most recognized and respected sportscasters in America. In fact, he is called the voice of boxing. Al Bernstein, welcome to MMA Meltdown. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. It's good to be with you guys.
Fantastic. And we are very honored to actually have you here on our show. Now, Al, tell our fans here, you have a brand new book that's just come out. It's called 30 Years, 30 Undeniable Truths About Boxing, Sports, and TV. Can you tell us about the book and what made you decide to write it?
Yeah, it's been a while in the making. I've had diversion books came to me and they wanted me to do something, and I kind of waited for a little bit, but when I came up with this concept, this 30 Undeniable Truths, which are all kind of ironic, funny truths about things that have happened, and I fashioned stories around each concept. When I came up with the concept, I realized I could time travel back and forth and make every chapter kind of stand on its own, and so it appealed to me. And the book is very much a fun, lighthearted look at the people and events I've covered and some of the backstage stories about not only boxing but also sports television and other sports I've covered. In fact, I even have a chapter in there about my MMA experiences called The Rear Naked Chokehold Is Here to Stay.
Nice.
And it talks about the relationship between boxing and mixed martial arts and talks a little bit about how there's plenty of room in the sports combat tent for both. So there's a lot in the book that I think it's not just for diehard boxing fans. There's a lot of fun things for people to read.
It sounds like also just for the fight fan in general as well, huh?
Yeah,
and maybe
certainly people that are interested in boxing are to find plenty in the book that'll interest them, but it kind of goes beyond that as well.
Now, Al, you mentioned mixed martial arts. Now, when you got into boxing, my understanding is that was in the early 80s, and maybe even a little bit before then. Yeah,
I started in 1980 when ESPN started, and I was on the network at its inception. And the fans that know ESPN as as the giant empire it is today will find it fascinating and probably humorous to see some of the stories about the early days. In 1981, the ESPN Christmas party, which now has over 6,000 people attending it, had about 200 people at it in the Plainville Holiday Inn in Connecticut. And Dick Vitale and I were charged with the task of giving away the winning prize for the winning raffle ticket that evening. And the two prizes were two 24-inch black and white television sets. So
nice.
Things are a little different in 1981.
You bet. Well, so now back then in the 80s, boxing was just blossoming. Now, as you know, right now, mixed martial arts is pretty much in that same stage. It's just blossoming right now. Do you have any suggestions or tips for people looking to get into the industry as far as on the broadcasting side or the sportscaster side?
Well, it is interesting because mixed martial arts there are some opportunities presenting themselves for the different franchises, and I think a lot of the folks that have become experts on mixed martial arts or are in fact experts are finding a little bit more of an outlet where they can broadcast. One of the things for people that are going to host those shows, and I ended up hosting some mixed martial arts shows. I have in the past. I think an important thing is to not pretend you're an expert. If you're a sportscaster that knows enough about that sport to do it as a host, I think the trick is to allow the experts that are sitting with you to carry the ball when it comes to the important opinions and strategies that that are going to be conveyed. And that's the approach I try to take working with people like Pat Miletich and Stephen Quadros and a few others.
And so basically what you're saying is you've allowed them to be the expert in the mixed martial arts arena, so to speak.
Exactly. I think you want to know enough, and I worked very hard before I did any mixed martial arts shows to at least understand all the basics and know what I was talking about, but not try to overstep my bounds. And I think it's especially true in mixed martial arts where a lot of people don't understand the ground game, and some people think it's boring, but I don't believe it is. And I think that's where good analysts can explain it in a way that I think makes it interesting to people.
You bet, and explain it and educate the public as far as what's happening, transitions, things of that nature.
Exactly. I tell a story in the book that one of the shows I did on Showtime, there was one fighter dominated the first two rounds, but with about 20 seconds left in the second round, one of the fighters, the one that had been dominated, got the other fighter in an armbar, and you were counting down the seconds to see would the round end before the trapped fighter would submit. And it was very exciting, and with 3 seconds left, he submitted. And I said, you know what, that was as exciting as any knockout I've called in boxing.
You bet, absolutely. But now let's get on to something else here real quick, if you don't mind. First of all, I would like to just say congratulations on being inducted in the 2012 International Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, how would that rank amongst your accomplishments?
Well, it was a humbling experience. The Hall of Fame weekend was tremendous, and I'm now the 7th broadcaster to be elected to that Hall of Fame, and the Boxing Hall of Fame is very kind to those of us who did not get in because of boxing. And anybody that saw me as an amateur boxer in Chicago some years ago would know that I probably wasn't going to get in for my boxing. But when you contribute to the sport in a different way, the Boxing Hall of Fame is very generous about allowing you in, and it was a wonderful experience. I went in with Tommy Hearns and Freddie Roach, among other inductees, and it was just a humbling, wonderful experience.
Well, and I'll tell you, I had an opportunity to watch it on the internet, and as soon as they introduced you, Al, it sounded like the place erupted. I actually had, the hairs on my arms were actually standing up because it sounded like it was just electric when they announced you. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, I really did. It was a moment I'll never forget, and it was a very, very warm response. And I tried to, how when things happen like that, you try to slow it down so you appreciate every moment. And I tried to do that weekend, as much as it's hard to do. People always say when they get married, they can't slow it down enough to really enjoy that moment. And this was similar. It was a great, great moment. And you are right. It was the fans were just so generous in their response. And I'll never forget that moment. I can say that.
That's awesome. Again, congratulations. Now, Al, it looks like you're going to be announcing here on Showtime this Saturday, October the 20th, an event that features Danny Swift Garcia versus Eric El Terrible Morales. And that happens 6 p.m. here, Mountain Time, here in Denver, Colorado. What are you expecting from that event?
We have 4 championship fights on the card, which is pretty amazing. It's the first boxing match at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and the first championship fight in Brooklyn since 1931.
Wow! And there's 4 of them.
There's 4 championship matches. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Eric Morales and Danny Garcia in the main event. And that should be an entertaining and exciting fight. Although Morales is having some trouble making weight, we'll know whether he did that shortly. Then also Peter Quillen fighting for the middleweight championship. Paul Malignaggi defending his welterweight title against Pablo Cano, and Randall Bailey, who has the IBF welterweight championship, defending it against Devin Alexander. And Bailey is a big puncher who, in his last 18 fights, has knocked down 16 of his opponents. And Devin Alexander from St. Louis, a very, very good boxer puncher, who just had a big win over Marcos Maidana. So it's, a lot of fights. I think they should be exciting, and we're looking forward to it.
It sounds like a very stacked card. Now, the other thing, we only have 10 minutes with you, Al, and our time's just about up. Would you do me a favor, and can you tell our fans how they can pick up your book and where they can pick up your book?
Oh, yeah, thank you. The best place to get it is on Amazon.com. It's sold both as an ebook and a print book. They can also get it on BarnesandNoble.com.
Okay.
But it's both available both as an ebook and a print book, and that's the best way for them to get a hold of it. And it's for the folks that are casual boxing fans. You'll enjoy the book as well, because there's a lot that goes beyond boxing. But if you are a hardcore boxing fan, you'll certainly have enough about that sport in it to interest you.
Well, I'll tell you what, the book sounds very exciting. Again, thank you so much for your time here today, Al. Now, is there anybody that you would like to thank before I let you go?
Well, just first of all, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and I love coming on the shows like yours that are also geared to mixed martial arts fans, because I enjoy the sport, and I think it's a very nuanced and interesting sport, and it's fun to reach out.
Well, thank you so much. Again, this is MMA Meltdown on 102.3 ESPN with Al Bernstein. Again, thank you very much, Al, for your time today. You have a wonderful day, and good luck on Saturday, and good luck with your book as well.
All right, thanks a lot. You take care.